The marble floor of the Celestia Hotel was so shiny I could see my face in it. My hands shook as I held the white pastry boxes. The corners dug into my palms hard enough to hurt. I focused on that pain. Anything to forget the panic crawling up my throat. I had been delivering custom desserts to this hotel for 3 months now. Always through the back door. Always invisible. But today, the kitchen staff sent me through the main lobby. A pipe had burst in the service hallway. Of course, because my life wasn't complicated enough. The lobby stretched ahead of me like a test I wasn't ready for. High ceilings. Crystal lights throwing sparkles everywhere. The air smelled expensive. Cologne and fresh flowers from the huge arrangement on the center table. My sneakers squeaked on that perfect floor. The sound announced me, told everyone I didn't belong here. I kept my head down. Counted my steps. 23 to the elevators. Then I could disappear upstairs to the penthouse kitchen. Drop off my desserts. Get my payment. Go home. 23 steps. I could do this. Elena. The voice stopped me cold. My stomach dropped. That familiar sound. That tone that used to seem kind but now just sounded wrong. I didn't turn around. Maybe if I kept walking, he would think he was mistaken. Maybe the universe would be kind just this once. Elena, wait. I know that's you. Footsteps behind me. Quick. Determined. My heart hammered. I held the boxes tighter. Walked faster. 15 steps to the elevators. Just 15 more. Don't you dare ignore me. His hand grabbed my shoulder. Spun me around so hard I almost dropped everything. Victor looked exactly the same as 6 months ago. Sandy hair with too much gel. Pale blue eyes that I once thought were kind. Expensive suit probably bought with his parents' money. He never kept a job longer than 3 months. The smell of his cologne made my stomach turn. I need to make my delivery, I said. My voice only shook a little. Please let me go. Let you go? His laugh was sharp. Mean, like you let me go? You just vanished. Blocked my number. Wouldn't answer the door. We were supposed to get married, Elena. We were never supposed to get married. I stepped back. Tried to put space between us. I gave the ring back. I explained everything in my letter. Your letter? He spit the words. 2 years together and you ended with a letter? Do you know how that made me look? How my mother reacted? Everyone at the club laughed behind my back. Everything always came back to Victor. His image. His reputation. How things affected his standing with people who shouldn't matter. I had spent 2 years making myself smaller. Baking desserts for his work parties. Smiling through his little comments about my appearance. My job. My friends. The day I moved into my own tiny apartment had been the first time I breathed freely in months. I'm sorry you were hurt, I said, trying to stay calm. But we weren't right for each other. What I know is you owe me an explanation. A real one. His hand shot out. Grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to bruise. Victor was too smart for that. But firm enough to show I wasn't leaving until he said so. The boxes wobbled. You're going to make me drop these, I said. They're worth $300 I can't replace. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you humiliated me. My vision got smaller. The beautiful lobby faded. All I could see was his hand on my wrist. That familiar feeling of being trapped. This was how it always was. His needs. His feelings. His control dressed up as caring. I had promised myself never again. Let go of me. The words came out stronger than I expected. A couple walking past glanced our way. Victor's face changed. His grip loosened a little. But he didn't let go. We're making a scene, Elena. You hate scenes. Just come to the bar with me. We'll talk like adults. Then you can make your delivery. I don't want to talk. Too bad. His fingers tightened again. You don't get to just walk away from 2 years without giving me closure. The elevators were only 10 feet away. If I could break free. If I could reach those doors before he caught up. The lobby suddenly felt too warm. Too small. This beautiful space had become a trap. Victor, please. I hated how weak I sounded. I'm working. I'll lose this contract if I'm late. 1 drink. 30 minutes. Then I'll let you go. We both knew that was a lie. 30 minutes would become an hour. Then 2. Then dinner. Then he would remind me of old times. Wear me down until I gave in. I had seen this before. Lived through it too many times. My eyes searched for help. Security. Anyone who might stop this. The hotel staff looked away. The rich people kept walking. Nobody wanted to get involved. I was alone. The thought made something snap inside me. I twisted sharply. Used the move my friend taught me in self-defense class. broke his grip. The pastry boxes tilted dangerously. But I caught them, steadied them as I spun away. My sneakers squeaked on the marble as I ran. "Elena!" Victor's shout echoed through the lobby. The elevators were full, red lights above all the doors. But next to them was a door marked stairs. I didn't think, just moved, slammed my shoulder against the heavy door. It flew open. Behind me, Victor's footsteps got closer. I rushed into the stairwell without looking, and ran straight into something solid. Warm, unmovable. Strong hands caught the pastry boxes before they could fall, grabbed them from me with surprising speed, steadied them like they weighed nothing. I stumbled backward, looked up at the man I just crashed into. He was tall, over 6 feet, broad shoulders that suggested real strength. His black suit was perfect, the kind of expensive I recognized from Victor's magazines. But where Victor's clothes always looked like a costume, this man wore his like they were part of him. Dark hair swept back from a face made of sharp angles. All hard lines, strong jaw, but it was his eyes that stopped my breath. Dark, deep, with an intensity that seemed to see through me instead of at me. "I'm sorry," I gasped. "I didn't see, I wasn't looking." "Elena, get back here." Victor's voice shattered the moment. Without thinking, I moved deeper into the stairwell. The stranger stepped aside, still holding my pastry boxes with careful hands. "Please," I whispered. My eyes went to where Victor was probably seconds away. "Please, I need." The stranger's gaze flicked past me. Something dark crossed his face. There and gone so fast I might have imagined it. Then he moved, fast but smooth. His body blocked the doorway. Solid, immovable. Victor burst through the door. His hand reached forward, but the stranger was there, taking up all the space. A wall of calm control. "The stairwell is closed for maintenance," the stranger said. His voice was low, controlled, with an accent I couldn't place. "Italian, maybe." "I don't care," Victor snapped. "That woman is a hotel vendor making a delivery. You're disrupting her work." Something in the stranger's tone made Victor pause. Made him actually look at the man blocking his way. Victor's face changed. Recognition flickered. Then something else. Fear? We were just talking," Victor said. His voice had lost its edge. "No. You were leaving." It wasn't a suggestion. Victor's mouth opened, closed. He looked at me, then back at the stranger. Whatever he saw made him take a step back. "This isn't over, Elena," Victor said. But the confidence was gone. "Yes," the stranger said quietly. "It is." Victor stared for another second, then turned and walked away. The door swung shut behind him with a heavy click. The lock engaged automatically. Silence filled the stairwell. I sagged against the railing. My legs suddenly too weak. My heart still hammering so hard it hurt. "Thank you," I managed. "I'm sorry for crashing into you. For dragging you into my mess." The stranger studied me, those dark eyes taking in details with the same care I used when decorating cakes. Looking for flaws. Then his mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. Small, almost invisible. "The boxes are safe," he said. "That seems to matter most to you." I laughed. It came out too high. Too shaky. "They're not just boxes. They're 2 weeks of grocery money. The reason I still have this contract." He glanced down at the containers he still held. Then back at me. "What floor?" "Penthouse kitchen. Top floor, I think. I usually come through the service entrance." Something flickered in those dark eyes. "The penthouse." "Yes. I'm delivering for a private party. Some tech executive celebrating a deal." I realized I was babbling. "I make custom desserts. Not usually here. But the head chef knows my boss and recommended me." I stopped, took a breath. "That's probably more information than you needed." "Elena." The way he said my name made my chest tighten. Not like Victor said it. Not with ownership. Different. Like he was tasting it. Testing how it felt. "You heard that," I said. "I did." He paused. "He's your ex-fiancé." "Was my ex-fiancé. We were never actually engaged." I gave the ring back. Why was I explaining this to a stranger? I ended things 6 months ago. Haven't seen him since. Didn't expect him to be here today. "Does he often chase you through hotels?" There was something in his voice. Something cold beneath the calm. "No. I've been careful to avoid places he might be. Today was just bad luck." I wrapped my arms around myself. "He'll give up eventually. He always does. Until next time." The stranger watched me for a long moment. Then he tried the door. Locked. He tried the handle below. The one leading down. Also locked. Emergency protocol, he said. When the stairwell door locks, all the others seal automatically. For security. My heart dropped. We're stuck? Until someone realizes and overrides the system. He pulled out his phone. Frowned at the screen. No signal. Of course not. Because my day wasn't already complicated enough. I had escaped Victor only to trap myself in a concrete box with a complete stranger. A stranger who was now studying me with that unsettling intensity. The stranger pressed a button on the wall. An emergency call button. Nothing happened. He tried his phone again. Still nothing. The stairwell is designed to block signals, he said. For privacy. Whose privacy needs a signal-blocking stairwell? His mouth curved again. That ghost of a smile. Mine. The word hung in the air. You own this hotel, I said. Not a question. I own many things. I should have been more frightened. Trapped alone with a man who owned hotels. Who made Victor back down with just his presence? Whose stairwell had emergency protocols? But I didn't feel afraid. Just tired. So we're stuck until someone notices, I said. Marco will realize within the hour. He tracks my movements. Marco? Head of security. He'll find us. The stranger set my pastry boxes carefully on a step. Then lowered himself to sit on the landing. Graceful. Controlled. He gestured to the space across from him. After a moment, I sat too. My legs needed the rest anyway. Tell me about the desserts, he said. What? You said they're worth 2 weeks of grocery money. What makes them valuable? I looked at him. Really looked. He didn't seem like he was mocking me. Just genuinely curious. Lavender macarons with honey buttercream, I said. Raspberry tartlets with dark chocolate. Miniature opera cakes. Classic French techniques. But I add my own touches. Like, the macarons have real lavender from my grandmother's garden. I dry it myself. Makes the flavor more authentic than extract. Your grandmother taught you to bake. She taught me everything. The familiar story steadied my nerves. She came from Provence when she was 20. Worked in bakeries all over New York until she saved enough to open her own place. Past tense. I nodded. Swallowed against the sudden tightness. She passed 3 years ago. Left me her recipes. And very specific instructions never to waste my talent making someone else rich. Yet you work for someone else's bakery. For now. I pulled my knees up. Rested my chin on them. I'm saving to open my own place. It's slow, but I'm getting there. The stranger's dark eyes stayed on my face. Reading things I didn't say. How much more do you need? That's a very personal question from someone whose name I don't know. Something flickered in his expression. Amusement, maybe. Matteo, he said. Just Matteo for now. For now? Names have weight. Some more than others. He tilted his head. How much more, Elena? The way he said my name again made my skin prickle. $40,000. I have 15 saved. The rest will take another 2 years if everything goes perfectly. And your ex-fiancé. He didn't help with this dream. I laughed. Bitter. Sharp. Victor thought working in a bakery was charming when we met. Cute. Like I was playing at having a career. I picked at my shirt. Black fabric already dusted with powdered sugar. But when it came to marriage, he expected me to give it up. Said his income would be enough. That I could bake as a hobby. Make desserts for his business parties. You said no. Eventually. The word felt heavy. It took too long though. I kept thinking maybe I was being unreasonable. Maybe compromise meant giving up what I wanted. He was wrong. The certainty in Matteo's voice startled me. We had known each other maybe 20 minutes. Most of them in crisis. But he spoke with absolute conviction. You don't know me, I said quietly. How can you be sure? I know men like him. Something dark moved through his words. Men who see people as possessions. Things to control and display. They don't deserve loyalty. The stairwell gave a small shudder. My heart jumped, but we didn't start moving. Just a reminder we were suspended here. Trapped. What about you? I asked. Needed to shift focus away from myself. What brings you to your own hotel on a Wednesday afternoon? Business meeting. He checked his watch. Expensive. Understated. Which I'm now missing. I'm sorry. Don't be. The way he said it made me think everything was important to Matteo. That he didn't deal in small matters. It wasn't critical. What kind of business? The kind that pays well enough that I don't worry about $40,000. It should have sounded arrogant. But his tone was just matter of fact. Stating reality. I studied him more carefully. The watch was platinum. The kind featured in magazines I couldn't afford. His shoes were Italian leather. Perfect condition. Even his posture spoke of authority. Of being obeyed without question. You're not just staying at this hotel, I said. Pieces clicking together. You own it. Or part of it. His mouth curved. Clever. The staff looked at you differently in that split second before the door locked. And you moved to block Victor like you had every right to decide who comes and goes. I tilted my head. Plus you're too comfortable in this situation. Most people would be anxious about being stuck. You're just patient. Patient, he repeated, something like approval in his voice. That's one word. What's another? Accustomed to waiting for the right moment. The words sat between us. Heavy with meaning I couldn't quite read. Are you afraid of me, Elena? The directness surprised me. I thought about it honestly. Searched my feelings beneath the adrenaline. No, I said finally. I probably should be. I don't know you. We're trapped alone. And you have this intensity that suggests you're not someone most people say no to. I met his gaze steadily. But I'm not afraid. Maybe I'm just too tired to be scared of the wrong things anymore. Something shifted in his face. A crack in that controlled exterior. The wrong things, he said slowly. Men like Victor scared me for years and I didn't even realize it. The words started spilling out. The way they smile while cutting you down. Make you question reality. Convince you their control is care. I wrapped my arms around my knees. You might be dangerous, Matteo. But at least you're honest about it. You think I'm dangerous. I know you are. I didn't know how I knew. But the certainty sat heavy in my chest. Everything about you says you're someone who makes problems disappear. The question is what kind of problems? And how? His eyes searched mine. That dark intensity focused entirely on me. Your ex-fiancé, he said. The one probably still in the lobby. What will you do when we get out? Try to avoid him. Go back through the service entrance like I should have. And if he follows you, finds where you work, where you live, the scenarios I had spent 6 months trying not to imagine. I'll handle it. I always have. By running. The words stung because they were true. By surviving. There's a difference. Matteo leaned forward slightly. What if you didn't have to run? What if the problem simply went away? Something in his tone made my pulse quicken. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting men like Victor respond to one thing. Power. The realization they've chosen the wrong target. That pursuing you carries consequences. You can't just threaten him. That's illegal. And he has family money. Lawyers. I'm not suggesting threats. Matteo's voice stayed calm, almost gentle. I'm suggesting presence. The knowledge that you're under protection. Someone who makes Victor and his lawyers seem like children. I should have been horrified. Should have seen this for what it was. Another man trying to control my situation. But looking into Matteo's eyes, I didn't see Victor's need to own. I saw something colder, more practical. A businessman identifying a problem and offering a solution. Why would you do that? I asked. You don't know me. My problems aren't your responsibility. Perhaps I'm interested in making them my responsibility. A crackling sound came from above. A speaker I hadn't noticed. This is hotel security. We're aware of the stairwell malfunction. Please remain calm. We'll have the door open shortly. Matteo didn't move, didn't reach for the speaker to respond. Just kept watching me, waiting. I should thank you, I said instead. For helping me get away from Victor. For catching my boxes. For not being weird about this. Is that a dismissal? It's a statement of fact. He smiled then. Really smiled. It transformed his face completely. The hard lines softened. Something almost warm emerging. You have a sharp tongue when you're not frightened. I'm always frightened, I admitted. I've just learned to talk anyway. A grinding sound echoed through the stairwell. The lock clicked. The door above us swung open. A man in a suit appeared. Thick-necked. Watchful. Security, clearly. But not hotel security. He nodded to Matteo with obvious deference. Sir, my apologies for the delay. Marco, Matteo said. He stood smoothly. Retrieved my pastry boxes. Ms. Elena has a delivery to make. Ensure she's escorted safely to the kitchen and back. Of course, sir. I took my boxes. My mind spinning. I never told you my last name. Matteo's eyes held mine. The penthouse kitchen doesn't accept deliveries without background checks on vendors. Your information was already on file. The realization hit like cold water. You knew. Before the door even closed. You already knew who I was. Not everything. His voice lowered. I didn't know you'd fight back against a man twice your size with nothing but pastry boxes. I didn't know your grandmother taught you baking was intuition. He moved closer. Close enough that I could smell sandalwood and something uniquely him. And I didn't know that I'd decide before we even left this stairwell that you were going to be mine. The possessive word should have terrified me. Should have sent me running. But something in me responded to his certainty. I'm not looking for another relationship, I managed. Good. Neither am I. He pulled a card from his jacket. Pressed it into my palm. I'm offering protection, Elena. A shield against men like Victor. No strings beyond this. You're under my watch now. No one touches what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet, he agreed. But you will be. And when you're ready to stop running, you'll call that number. Marco cleared his throat politely. Sir, your 3 o'clock is waiting. Matteo stepped back, that controlled mask sliding into place. Make your delivery. Marco will ensure you leave safely. He paused, waited until I met his eyes. Choose the service exit today. But eventually you'll walk through the front with your head high. Because no one who belongs to me hides. He turned and walked up the stairs. Disappeared around the corner. I stood frozen, his card burning in my palm. Miss Elena. Marco's voice was respectful but firm. The kitchen is this way. I followed on autopilot, my mind replaying every word, every look. The kitchen staff took my desserts professionally. Barely glanced at me. I collected my payment. Marco escorted me down the service stairs. Mr. DeLuca wanted me to ensure you reached your vehicle safely, he said as we descended. His accent was faint but present. Italian like Matteo's. I don't have a car. I take the subway. Something flickered in his expression. Disapproval maybe. Mr. DeLuca won't like that. The subway isn't safe for you anymore. Why? Because I turned down a meeting in a hotel lobby? Marco's look suggested I was being dangerously naive. Men become dangerous when their pride is wounded. Your ex made a scene in a very public place. That kind of humiliation breeds resentment. We reached the service exit. Marco pushed it open, scanned the alley before letting me through. The subway entrance is 2 blocks west. I'll walk you there. That's really not necessary. It is. He said it with the finality of someone following orders he wouldn't disobey. We emerged into afternoon sunlight. The city noise wrapped around me. Car horns, sirens, the constant hum of New York. I tried to process what had happened. An hour ago I had been running from Victor. Now I had a security escort and a business card from a man who casually claimed ownership. What exactly does Mr. DeLuca do? I asked. Marco's expression stayed neutral. Mr. DeLuca has many interests. Real estate, hospitality, import-export. He's very successful. That's a politician's answer. You didn't actually tell me anything. A slight smile cracked his professional face. You're observant. Mr. DeLuca likes that. So he discussed me with you. He discusses everything with me. I've worked for him 12 years. Marco guided me around a puddle. In that time, I've never seen him take personal interest in someone so quickly. You should consider that significant. Or concerning. Both can be true. We reached the subway entrance. Marco stopped. His eyes scanned the crowd with professional vigilance. You have his card, he said. When you decide to use it, and you will, call anytime. Day or night, someone will answer. What makes you so sure I'll call? Because right now you're thinking about whether your ex knows your subway route. Whether he might be waiting at your stop. Whether going home means another confrontation. Marco's voice gentled slightly. Mr. DeLuca can make those worries disappear. All you had to do is ask. He was right. And I hated that he was right. The thought of descending into the subway made my stomach clench. Thank you for the escort, I said. Marco nodded once, turned and walked back toward the hotel. I stood at the entrance. Pulled out my phone. Texted my roommate. Long story. Home soon. Her reply came fast. You okay? Yeah, just weird day. I descended into the subway. Paid my fare. Positioned myself in the middle of the platform. Surrounded by people. Visible. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. My heart jumped. I answered. Hello, Elena. Matteo's voice. Warm. Certain. I hope Marco saw you home safely. He walked me to the subway. I made it to the platform fine. Good. I wanted to ensure you arrived without incident. Behind me on the street, Jenna would be wondering why I was late. Worrying. How did you get my number? The background check included contact information. He said it like surveillance was perfectly reasonable. I'm calling to extend an invitation. An invitation to what? Dinner tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. I'll send a car. The assumption in his voice made my temper flare. You're asking me out after everything you said in that stairwell? I'm asking you to dinner so we can discuss terms of our arrangement. What arrangement? I never agreed to anything. Not yet. That phrase again, loaded with certainty. But you will. Because you're smart enough to recognize when you need help. And I'm offering it. This isn't about being smart. Isn't it? His voice dropped lower, more intimate. You spent 2 years letting someone make you small, Elena. Then you found courage to leave. To build something of your own. But now he's back, threatening that independence you fought for. Each word landed heavy. True. I'm offering you a way to stop running. The train arrived, screeched to a stop. Doors opened. One dinner, I heard myself say. Just to talk. No commitments. One dinner, he agreed. Marco will collect you at 6:30 tomorrow. I can take the subway. You could, but you won't. Because part of what I'm offering is the end of choosing between pride and safety. The understanding in his voice cracked something in my chest. 6:30, I repeated softly. Wear something comfortable. This isn't about impressing me. You already have. He ended the call. I got on the train. Found a seat. Pulled out Matteo's card. Simple. Elegant. Just a name and number in gold on black cardstock. Matteo De Luca. I should have Googled him then. Should have confirmed what my instincts whispered. Instead, I saved his number. And spent the train ride wondering what I had just agreed to. My apartment was a 4th-floor walk-up in a building that used to be nice in the 1920s. Now it just looked tired. The hallway smelled like cooking and old carpet. I could hear my neighbor's TV through the thin walls. This was my life. Small, humble, safe in its anonymity. Everything I had built after leaving Victor. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Finally, Jenna looked up from her laptop. Relief on her face. I was about to send a search party. How did the delivery go? Jenna had been my anchor through the breakup. The friend who helped me find this apartment. Spotted me rent when savings ran short. She worked as a graphic designer from home. It went fine, I said automatically. Then, because I couldn't lie to her, actually it was completely insane. I told her everything. The confrontation with Victor. The escape into the stairwell. Matteo appearing like some dark angel. The hours stuck together. His unsettling intensity. His declaration of ownership. Marco's escort. The card burning in my pocket. Jenna listened without interrupting, her expression cycling through concern and disbelief and something close to horror. Let me get this straight, she said when I finished. A man you never met who happens to own the hotel decided in 2 hours that you belong to him. And you're considering his offer. Hearing it out loud made it sound even more insane. He saved me from Victor, I said weakly. By being possibly worse than Victor. Jenna stood, started pacing our small living room. Elena, did you Google him? This man is dangerous. I know. Then why do you have that look? What look? Like you're actually thinking about calling him. She grabbed my shoulders, forced me to meet her eyes. Listen, I love you. I'll support you through anything. But this is how women end up on true crime podcasts. I pulled away, moved to the window overlooking our street. From here I could see the bodega where I bought milk, the bus stop where I waited on rainy mornings, the coffee shop where I sometimes treated myself. My world, small and safe and entirely mine. Except it didn't feel safe anymore. Not with Victor knowing where I worked, where I delivered. What if I can't keep running forever? I asked quietly. Then you get a restraining order. Go to the police. Do things legally. The system requires proof he's threatening me. Victor's too smart to leave evidence. I turned to face her. I tried that route. Documented everything. Saved texts. Voicemails. The police said they couldn't do anything unless he physically hurt me. Jenna's expression softened. I know it's frustrating, but making a deal with someone potentially more dangerous isn't the answer. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Don't answer it, Jenna warned. I answered it. I forgot to mention Matteo's voice. Tomorrow night. Bring an overnight bag. My stomach dropped. What? If we're going to discuss living arrangements, you should see the space first. Make an informed decision. Living arrangements? That's not. 6:30, Elena. Marco will explain everything. He hung up. I stared at my phone. What did he say? Jenna demanded. He wants me to bring an overnight bag tomorrow. Absolutely not. No. She grabbed my phone. Started searching. I'm Googling him right now. She typed. Her eyes widened. Elena, look at this. She turned the phone toward me. Article after article filled the screen. Matteo De Luca, real estate magnate. De Luca opens 5th luxury property. The king of Manhattan hospitality. But beneath the business coverage were other articles. Opinion pieces. True crime blogs asking questions without answers. Speculation about family connections. About the speed of his empire's growth. About rivals who had suddenly sold properties at losses. Or disappeared from the New York business scene entirely. Nothing concrete. Nothing provable. Just a consistent thread of suspicion woven through his success. The DeLuca family, one article explained, immigrated from Sicily 3 generations ago. Built fortune through hard work and strategic investments. Or so the official story goes. I clicked through to images. Matteo in a tuxedo at some gala. His hand at a woman's back. Expression commanding even in celebration. Matteo cutting a ribbon at a hotel opening. His smile polished but not quite reaching his eyes. Matteo outside a courthouse. His lawyer beside him. Caption reading. DeLuca cleared of all charges in business partner's disappearance. This is who offered you protection, Jenna said. This is who wants you to bring an overnight bag. I should have been running the other direction. Instead, I saved his contact properly in my phone. I'm just going to dinner, I said. Just to hear what he's proposing. Elena, I'll be careful, I promise. Text you every hour. And if anything feels wrong, I'll leave immediately. Jenna pulled me into a hug. Fierce and worried. I'm following you. Or calling someone. Or something. He'll know if you follow. I don't care. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow I would have dinner with a man I shouldn't trust. Discuss an arrangement I shouldn't consider. But at least I would stop running. At least for one night, I could pretend I was strong enough to face danger instead of fleeing from it. Outside, the city hummed. And somewhere in Manhattan, Matteo DeLuca was probably awake too. Planning our conversation. Deciding my future with the same certainty he had shown in that stairwell. The thought should have terrified me. Instead it felt almost like relief. Marco arrived exactly at 6:30. I had spent the entire day going back and forth. Canceling. What if scenarios that made me dizzy? Jenna had offered repeatedly to come with me. To at least follow at a distance. But I refused. Something told me Matteo would see through any backup. And the consequences might be worse than going alone. I had chosen a simple navy dress. Professional but not trying too hard. My grandmother's gold locket at my throat. A talisman of courage I desperately needed. You look beautiful, Jenna said as I checked my reflection one last time. And terrified. Both accurate. Text me every hour. I mean it. I will. I hugged her quickly. Headed downstairs before I could change my mind. Marco waited beside a black sedan. Elegant without being flashy. The kind of car that said money without shouting it. He opened the back door. Slight bow. Ms. Elena. Mr. DeLuca is looking forward to your evening. Is he at the restaurant already? No, ma'am. Dinner will be at his residence. My stomach dropped. I thought we were going to a restaurant. Mr. DeLuca prefers privacy for important conversations. Marco's tone suggested this wasn't negotiable. His home is fully staffed. You'll be perfectly safe. Safe. That word again. Losing meaning. I slid into the backseat. The leather cool against my skin. Marco closed the door. Moved to the driver's seat. As we pulled away, I texted Jenna. Change of plans. Dinner at his house. We'll update soon. Her response came immediately. Absolutely not, Aurora. This is how people disappear. I'll be fine. Promise. If I don't hear from you by 9, I'm calling police. I pocketed my phone. Watched the city slide past tinted windows. We drove north, leaving my familiar neighborhood for streets lined with increasingly expensive buildings. The architecture shifted from tired brick to polished stone. 20 minutes later we pulled up to a townhouse in the East 70s. The kind of address that represented generational wealth. 5 stories of limestone and iron. Elegant windows glowing against the evening sky. A discreet security camera swept the entrance. Marco opened my door. Mr. DeLuca is expecting you on the 3rd floor. I'll escort you up. The interior was stunning. Marble floors. Original crown molding. Art that probably wasn't reproduction. But what struck me most was how lived in it felt. Books stacked on a side table. A sweater draped over a chair. Fresh flowers in a vase. This wasn't a showpiece. This was a home. We climbed a curved staircase. My heels clicking softly on hardwood. At the 3rd floor, Marco gestured toward an open doorway. He's waiting in the dining room. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. I stepped through. And stopped. The room was intimate despite its size. A table set for 2. Candles flickering in simple holders. Warm light that softened the formal elegance. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a private garden. Unusual for Manhattan. And there, standing by the window, was Matteo. He had changed from his suit into dark slacks and a white shirt. Sleeves rolled to his elbows. More relaxed than yesterday, but still radiating that controlled power. He turned as I entered, his dark eyes finding mine immediately. "Elena, thank you for coming. Did I really have a choice?" A slight smile. "There's always a choice. You could have refused my invitation. Blocked my number. Disappeared into the city." He moved toward me, graceful and deliberate. "But you're here, which tells me something important." "What does it tell you?" "That you're tired of being afraid. That you recognize power when you see it. And you're smart enough to know when to accept help." He gestured to the table. "Please sit. Dinner will be served shortly." I moved to the chair he indicated, hyper-aware of him behind me as he helped settle me. His hands careful, respectful, never lingering, but the brief contact sent awareness across my skin. He took the seat across from me, close enough for conversation but not crowding. "You Googled me," he said. Not a question. "Of course I did. And what did you find?" "That you're either a very successful businessman with unfortunate associations, or a criminal with excellent public relations." His laugh was genuine, surprised. "I like your directness. Most people dance around what they think. I don't see the point in pretending. If we're having this conversation, it should be honest." "Agreed." He leaned back slightly. "So let's be honest. What do you want to know?" "Everything." "Nothing." Questions crowded my throat. "The disappeared business partner," I said. "Did you kill him?" "No." "Did you have him killed?" "No." He didn't flinch. "Roberto Santini was my partner and my friend. When he disappeared, I spent considerable resources searching for him. His body was found 2 months later. Police concluded he was killed by rivals in a business deal gone wrong. I was cleared of all involvement. But people still think you did it. People will always think the worst of those with power. It's easier to assume I'm a monster than accept that sometimes tragedy strikes without conspiracy." A woman in staff uniform entered with the first course. Delicate soup that smelled divine. She served us silently. Withdrew. "You said you have questions," Matteo prompted. "Ask them. Tonight is about building trust." I tasted the soup. Buying time. It was perfect. Rich. Complex. Everything in Matteo's world seemed perfect on the surface. "What exactly are you offering me?" I asked finally. "You mentioned protection. But from what?" "Victor's annoying, not dangerous. Men like Victor are more dangerous than you realize. Not physically perhaps, but in other ways." Matteo's tone was matter-of-fact. "He has family money. Connections. The kind of social capital that can make your life difficult." He continued. "He can call your clients. Suggest you're unstable. Make complaints to the health department about your bakery. File frivolous lawsuits that cost money you don't have." Each scenario made my stomach clench. Because they all felt plausible. Victor always fought dirty when he didn't get his way. "So you're offering to what? Threaten him?" "I'm offering to make him understand that pursuing you carries consequences. No threats necessary. Just facts delivered by people he can't dismiss." "And what do you get in return?" The question hung between us. The heart of it. The price tag. "Your company," he said simply. "For 6 months, you'll be seen with me at business dinners. Social functions. Anywhere I need a partner. You'll play the role of my girlfriend convincingly." I nearly choked on my soup. "You want me to be your fake girlfriend?" "I want you to be my very real girlfriend in all the ways that matter publicly. What happens privately is separate." "Why?" I set down my spoon. Searched his face for the trap. "You can have any woman you want." "Why me?" "Because most women who would date me want something. Money. Status. Access to my world." His gaze held mine steadily. "You want none of those things. You want independence, safety, freedom to build your bakery without interference." He paused. "And because you intrigue me, Elena. You stood up to me in that stairwell. Called me dangerous to my face. Didn't flinch. Do you know how rare that is? Maybe I'm just stupid. You're many things. Stupid isn't one of them." The main course arrived. Perfectly seared duck with cherry reduction. The woman refilled our wine. Disappeared again like a ghost. 6 months, I repeated. Processing. What happens after? After 6 months we reassess. By then Victor will have moved on. You'll have built savings from not paying rent since you'll be living here. And you'll have connections that will help when you open your bakery. My voice rose. Living here? That wasn't part of the deal. It's necessary for the arrangement to be convincing. A girlfriend who lives separately raises questions. He cut his duck with precise movements. You'll have your own suite. Complete privacy. I have 5 floors, Elena. We don't have to see each other if you don't want to. But I have a roommate. Elise. A life. Your roommate can find a new situation. I'll cover any penalties for breaking your lease. As for your life, you'll simply be living it from a different address. He made it sound so simple. So reasonable. Just append everything. Move into a stranger's house. Play pretend girlfriend to a man who might or might not be a criminal. And if I refuse? Then you refuse. I drive you home. You never hear from me again. And you handle Victor however you see fit. No threat in his voice. Just acceptance. But you came here tonight, Elena. You're considering this. Why? Because I was exhausted. Because 6 months of running had worn me down. Because the thought of someone powerful standing between me and Victor felt like oxygen after drowning. Because despite every logical reason to refuse, something in me responded to Mateo's certainty. His absolute conviction that he could keep me safe. I need to think about it, I said. Of course. Take the time you need. He paused. But while you're thinking, consider this. Tomorrow Victor will wake up and decide whether to pursue you further. He'll weigh options. Maybe call his lawyer. His well-connected father. Strategize how to make your life difficult until you agree to talk. Each word landed heavy, because I knew he was right. Or, Mateo continued, tomorrow Victor wakes up to a visit from associates of mine. Very polite, very professional. They explain that his interest in Elena Moreau has been noticed by people he doesn't want noticing him. They suggest for his well-being that he move on. They leave, and he never bothers you again. Just like that, just like that. I wanted to believe it could be that simple. That someone could snap their fingers and make my problems disappear. What do these associates say exactly? What threats do they make? No threats, just information. The kind that makes a smart man realize he's out of his depth. Mateo's expression was unreadable. Victor isn't brave, Elena. He's a bully who preys on people without protection. The moment he understands you have protection, he'll fold. And if he doesn't, then additional measures are taken. But it won't come to that. We finished dinner mostly in silence. Both aware that a decision hung in the air. Dessert was delicate panna cotta with berries that I barely tasted. My mind too busy cataloging consequences. After coffee, Mateo stood. Extended his hand. Let me show you something. I followed him down a hallway to a door. He opened it to reveal a bedroom suite that took my breath away. Soft grays and creams. A bed that looked cloud soft. Windows overlooking the garden. An attached bathroom in marble and glass. A walk-in closet larger than my current bedroom. This would be yours, he said. Complete privacy. I'm on the 5th floor. You'd be here on the 3rd. Marco and staff are on the 2nd. You'd have your own key. Your own space. Autonomy to come and go as you please. As long as I play the devoted girlfriend when needed. As long as you uphold your end of our arrangement. Yes. I moved into the room. Ran my fingers along the dresser. Tested the mattress. Everything was perfect. Expensive. Designed for comfort. A gilded cage. But a cage nonetheless. How many women have you made this offer to? None. You're the first. I turned to face him. Why me? Really? Don't give me the intrigue answer. Tell me the truth. He moved closer. Stopped just inside my personal space. Not threatening, but present. Because when you crashed into that stairwell, terrified and determined in equal measure, you didn't see me as useful. You saw me as human first. You challenged me, made me laugh, treated me like I was just a man instead of a name with power. His hand rose, fingers barely grazing my cheek. And because I've spent 15 years building an empire, eliminating threats, controlling everything in my sphere. But I can't control how I feel when you look at me with those defiant eyes. Can't control wanting to be the one who makes you feel safe. The admission hung between us. Raw, honest. This is crazy, I whispered. Probably. I barely know you. You'll have 6 months to change that. What if I hate living here? What if it doesn't work? Then we end it. No penalties. No consequences. You walk away with savings and connections and an ex who's learned to leave you alone. It was too easy. Too simple. But standing in that beautiful room with Mateo watching me like I was something precious, I wanted to believe it could be uncomplicated. I need to talk to Jenna first, I said. My roommate. She deserves to know what I'm considering. Of course. Marco will drive you home. Take tonight to think. Call me tomorrow with your decision. We went back downstairs. At the door, Mateo caught my hand. Elena, Whatever you decide, I want you to know something. His thumb brushed across my knuckles. You're stronger than you realize. If you choose to face Victor alone, you'll survive. You don't need me. Then why make the offer? Because needing and wanting are different things. You don't need me, but maybe you want someone in your corner. Someone who sees your strength and wants to amplify it, not diminish it. He released my hand, stepped back. Marco drove me home in silence. When I finally climbed the stairs to my apartment, Jenna was pacing frantically. Thank God. She pulled me inside. I was 5 minutes from calling police. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? What happened? I told her everything. The dinner. The offer. The bedroom that would be mine. The promise of protection and freedom in exchange for playing a role. When I finished, Jenna sat heavily on the couch. This is insane, Aurora. You know that, right? Completely insane. I know. But you're going to say yes, aren't you? I looked at our small apartment. At the life I had built through determination. Safe. Humble. Mine. But that safety was an illusion now. Victor knew where I worked. Could find me whenever he wanted. And I was so tired of running. Of choosing between pride and peace. I think I am, I admitted. I think I'm going to say yes. Jenna pulled me into a hug. Fierce and worried. Then I'm checking in constantly. And if anything feels wrong, if he does anything that scares you, you call me immediately. I promise. That night I lay in my narrow bed staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow I would call Matteo and accept. Tomorrow I would agree to move into his house. To play his girlfriend. To let him handle Victor. Tomorrow my life would change completely. The thought terrified and exhilarated me in equal measure. I pulled out my phone. Typed a simple message. Yes. Sent it before I could change my mind. His response came within seconds. I'll have Marco collect you Saturday morning. Bring what matters. Everything else can be replaced. I set down my phone. Closed my eyes. The die was cast. The decision made. In 3 days I would move into Matteo De Luca's home and become his not quite real girlfriend. And hope that this particular cage came with a key I could use when I needed to fly. Moving day arrived with unseasonable warmth. October pretending to be September. I had packed my entire life into 4 boxes and 2 suitcases. Everything that truly mattered fitting into what Marco's sedan could hold in one trip. It was sobering, realizing how little I had accumulated in 25 years. Jenna helped me pack my grandmother's recipe books last, wrapping them carefully in newspaper. You know I support you, she said, not meeting my eyes. But I'm scared. This feels like you're disappearing. I'm not disappearing. I'll be 15 minutes away. 15 minutes in a whole different world. She finally looked up. Promise me you won't lose yourself in his life. Promise you'll still be Elena. Still work toward your bakery. Still be my best friend who texts me nonsense at 2 in the morning. I pulled her into a hug. Fighting tears. I promise. This is temporary. 6 months. Then I'm back to normal life. Just with better savings and no Victor to worry about. 6 months. She didn't sound convinced. Marco arrived exactly at 9. He loaded my boxes with care, treating my meager possessions like they mattered. The drive to Matteo's townhouse was quiet. Marco respecting my need for silence as I processed this surreal transition. The house looked different in morning light. Less imposing. Just a beautiful home on a tree-lined street where people walked dogs and carried coffee. Marco showed me to my suite, which had been transformed since I saw it 3 days ago. Fresh flowers on the dresser. The closet stocked with basics in my size. The bathroom filled with toiletries I actually used. Not generic luxury brands. Mr. De Luca wanted you to feel at home, Marco explained. If anything isn't to your liking, just let staff know. Staff. I had staff now, apparently. Where is he? Matteo? Business meeting downtown. He'll be back this afternoon. Marco set down my last box. Lunch will be served at 1 if you're hungry. Otherwise, take time to settle in. This is your home now. After he left, I stood in the center of my new room. Feeling untethered. Everything was perfect. Expensive. Not mine. I unpacked slowly, finding places for my grandmother's books. My few clothes lost in the massive closet. My toiletries barely filling one drawer. By noon I had unpacked everything and found myself with nothing to do. I wandered the 3rd floor, discovering a sitting room with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A small study with a desk facing the garden. A bathroom large enough to host a party. Voices drifted from downstairs. Staff going about their work. I felt like an intruder in this smooth running machine. uncertain where I fit. My phone buzzed. Matteo, how's the settling in? Need anything? Everything's perfect. Thank you. Lunch is ready whenever you are. Maria is an excellent cook. I made my way down to the second floor, following the scent of something delicious to a dining room less formal than where we had dinner. Maria, the same woman who had served us, smiled warmly. Miss Elena, please sit. I've made a light lunch. I didn't know your preferences yet. The spread was hardly light. Fresh salad, grilled chicken, pasta with vegetables, crusty bread, 3 dessert options. I took modest portions, acutely aware I was being evaluated. This is wonderful, I said after the first bite. You're incredibly talented. Maria beamed. Mr. DeLuca said you're a baker yourself. I'd love to learn your techniques sometime if you're willing. The genuine interest eased something in my chest. Maybe I could find a place here after all. I spent the afternoon in the garden, a hidden oasis I hadn't noticed from the windows. Someone had put considerable care into creating this space, mixing formal structure with wild abundance. I found a bench beneath an old oak, sat with my grandmother's oldest recipe book, running my fingers over her handwritten notes. I hope you know what you're doing, Nona, I whispered to the pages. Because I'm not sure I do. Talking to yourself or the book? I jumped, nearly dropping the precious volume. Matteo stood a few feet away, suit jacket draped over his arm, tie loosened. He looked tired, the first time I had seen anything but complete control in his expression. My grandmother wrote these, I said, clutching the book. Sometimes I talk to her through them. Helps me think. He moved closer, gestured to the bench. May I? I nodded. He sat beside me, close enough that I could feel his warmth. Not crowding. He smelled of fall air and that sandalwood cologne becoming familiar. How was your first day? He asked. Surreal. Beautiful but surreal. I keep expecting to wake up. It's an adjustment, but you'll find your rhythm. He glanced at the book. What recipe are you consulting? Her chocolate torte. She used to make it for special occasions. Claimed the secret was in when you folded the eggs. Will you make it sometime? I'd like to taste something from those pages. The request was simple, but it felt significant, like he was asking to know a piece of my history. My heart. Maybe if you're good. His laugh was surprised. Genuine. If I'm good, you realize most people don't set conditions on me. Then most people are missing out on the fun of making you work for things. Something shifted in his eyes. Heat flickering behind the control. Careful, Elena. I tend to want things more when they're difficult to obtain. The air between us suddenly felt charged, heavy with possibility. I stood quickly, needing distance. I should let you rest. You look exhausted. Negotiations took longer than expected. He stood as well, rolling his shoulders. There's something we should discuss. I have an event Tuesday evening. Gallery opening. Several important business associates will be there. It will be our first public appearance together. Reality crashed back. The arrangement. The role I had agreed to play. So soon? Better to establish the relationship quickly. Rumors spread fast in certain circles. He studied my face. You'll need something appropriate to wear. I've arranged for a stylist to come Monday. She'll take care of everything. I can dress myself. I know you can, but these events have expectations. The stylist will help you navigate them. His tone softened. Think of it as armor, not costume. You're still you, just dressed for battle. The phrase resonated. Armor, not costume. Maybe I could do this after all. Okay, Monday for the stylist. Thank you. He hesitated. Elena, I know this is overwhelming, but you're not alone in this. If you need anything at all, just ask. After he left, I returned to my suite. Found a tablet on the desk I hadn't noticed before. A note in strong handwriting. For your bakery research and recipes. Access to any sites or resources you need. The thoughtfulness cracked something in my chest. He had remembered my dream. Created space for it even in this arrangement. Monday the stylist arrived with enough clothes to stock a boutique. Claudia was efficient and kind, listening to my concerns about looking like myself while fitting Matteo's world. Mr. DeLuca was very clear, she said. Nothing too revealing. Nothing that makes you uncomfortable. We're enhancing your natural style, not changing it. She was true to her word. The clothes she selected were beautiful but wearable. Dresses and separates I could imagine actually living in. For the gallery opening, she chose a midnight blue dress in silk that flowed like water. Elegant without being ostentatious. You'll stop traffic, she promised. But in a way that feels like you. Tuesday evening arrived too quickly. I dressed carefully. My grandmother's locket at my throat. Hands trembling slightly as I fastened the delicate clasp. This was it. The first test of whether I could play this role convincingly. Matteo knocked at 7 precisely. When I opened the door, his expression transformed. From controlled politeness to something deeper. More primal. "You're breathtaking," he said simply. Claudia did good work. Claudia had excellent material to work with. He offered his arm. "Ready?" The gallery was in Chelsea. All white walls and dramatic lighting. As we entered, I felt the shift in attention. Heads turning. Conversations pausing. Matteo kept his hand at the small of my back. Possessive but not controlling. Guiding me through the crowd. "Matteo, we'd heard you might come." A silver-haired man approached. His eyes flickering to me with undisguised curiosity. "And who is this lovely creature?" "Marcus, meet Elena Moreau." "Elena, Marcus Wentworth. Curator and insufferable snob." Marcus laughed. Took my hand. "Guilty on both counts. How did someone like you end up with someone like him?" "Stairwell accident," I said, making Matteo choke on his champagne. We moved through the crowd. Matteo introducing me to dozens of people whose names blurred together. Business associates, artists, society figures. Everyone wanted to know about me. About us. About how we met. Matteo deflected most questions smoothly. But I caught the calculation in people's eyes. They were measuring, assessing, trying to determine what my presence meant. "You're doing beautifully," Matteo murmured during a quiet moment. "Natural. Charming. Everyone is completely convinced." "Convinced of what?" "We haven't even touched." His eyes darkened. "That's easily remedied." He pulled me closer. His hand spanning my waist. Thumbs stroking in slow circles that sent awareness cascading through me. To anyone watching, it looked like casual affection. To me it felt like lightning. "Is this necessary?" I asked breathlessly. "Extremely. My competitors are watching, wondering if you're a weakness they can exploit." His lips brushed my temple. Intimate and claiming. "Let them see you're protected. That you're mine." The word mine shouldn't have affected me. This was an arrangement. A role we were playing. But something in my body responded to his certainty. To the possessive warmth of his touch. "There's someone here I need to warn you about," he said. His tone shifting to something darker. "Sergei Volkov. Russian businessman with interests that occasionally conflict with mine. He'll try to get information from you. Maybe offer to help you if you ever need to escape me." "Why would he do that?" "Because causing me problems amuses him. Don't engage. Don't accept anything from him. Don't be alone with him." Before I could respond, a man appeared at Matteo's shoulder. Blonde, pale-eyed, with a smile that didn't reach his face. "Matteo, what an unexpected pleasure." His accent was thick, Russian, and this must be the mysterious Elena I've heard whispers about. Sergei Volkov clearly. "Sergei." Matteo's voice went cold. "I appreciate many things. Beauty, for instance." His gaze traveled over me in a way that made my skin crawl. "You've chosen well, Matteo. Though I wonder if such a delicate flower understands what she's gotten herself into." "I understand perfectly," I said, surprising myself. "Thank you for your concern." Sergei's smile sharpened. "Of course, though if you ever need a friend, someone outside Matteo's influence, I'm always available." "She won't," Matteo said flatly. "Enjoy the gallery, Sergei." After he walked away, I felt Matteo's tension vibrating through his frame. "That was a warning shot," he said. "He knows about you now. Will try to use you against me." "How?" "By making you doubt me. By offering protection if you want to leave. By suggesting I'm dangerous and he's safer." His hand tightened on my waist. "Don't believe him, Elena. Whatever I am, Sergei is worse." The rest of the evening passed in a blur. We stayed another hour, playing the devoted couple, before Matteo announced we were leaving. In the car, he finally relaxed slightly. Though weariness still lined his features. "You handled tonight perfectly," he said. "Even Sergei. I'm impressed. I told you I could do this." "You did. I should have believed you more readily." Back at the townhouse, he walked me to my suite. His presence solid and comforting after hours of performance. "Get some rest," he said. "Tomorrow we can go back to normal routine." "What is normal routine?" "Whatever you want it to be. Work on your business plan. Experiment in the kitchen. Read in the garden. This is your home, Elena. Live in it." He turned to leave, but I caught his wrist. "Thank you. For tonight. For the clothes. For the tablet. For seeing me." Something vulnerable flickered in his eyes. "You make it easy to see you. You shine too brightly to be invisible." He lifted my hand, pressed a kiss to my knuckles that burned like a brand, then left. I closed my door and leaned against it, heart racing. This was supposed to be an arrangement, a business transaction disguised as romance. But the way he looked at me, touched me, spoke to me, felt dangerously real. 6 months suddenly seemed both too long and not nearly long enough. 3 months passed in a strange dream. I fell into a rhythm with the household, spending mornings testing recipes in Mateo's restaurant-grade kitchen, afternoons researching business plans in the garden, evenings occasionally playing the devoted girlfriend at Mateo's business events. We attended dinners, galas, art openings, always together, always touching, always convincing, and somewhere along the way, the touches stopped feeling like performance. His hand at my back became comfort. His whispered comments during boring speeches became the highlight of my evening. His rare genuine smiles became something I worked to earn. Victor had disappeared entirely. One visit from Mateo's associates and my ex-fiancée had suddenly moved to California for a new opportunity. I should have felt guilty about however that happened. Instead I felt free. Jenna visited twice a week, her initial wariness gradually shifting to cautious acceptance as she saw me thriving rather than wilting. My savings grew. My business plan took shape. And slowly, dangerously, I started thinking of the townhouse as home. It was a Tuesday in January when everything changed. I was in the kitchen working on a new tart recipe when Marco appeared in the doorway. His expression was grave. "Miss Elena, Mr. DeLuca needs to see you immediately." The study, 3rd floor. The urgency in his tone sent my heart racing. I wiped flour from my hands, hurried upstairs. Mateo's study was a room I had never entered. His private sanctuary. The door was open, revealing dark wood paneling, leather furniture, walls lined with books. Mateo stood by the window, his posture rigid. "Close the door," he said without turning. I did, anxiety coiling in my stomach. "What's wrong?" He finally turned. My breath caught. His face was a mask of controlled fury. But beneath it, I saw fear. Real visceral fear. "Sergei Volkov has made a move," he said. "He's kidnapped the daughter of one of my business partners, holding her as leverage to force me into surrendering certain territories." Horror crashed through me. A child? He took a child? She's 16, old enough to be terrified, too young to protect herself. Mateo's hands clenched. "He sent a message. Says he knows about you. Knows you matter to me. Suggests if I don't cooperate, you might be next." The world tilted. "This is because of me," I whispered. "Because of our arrangement. This is because Sergei is a monster who uses innocence as weapons." He moved toward me, his hands gripping my shoulders. "I need to handle this. But I can't do it if I'm worried about your safety. I need you somewhere secure." "Where?" "There's a property upstate. Isolated, heavily secured. Marco will take you tonight." "For how long?" "However long it takes to resolve this. Days, maybe weeks." His jaw tightened. "I'm sorry, Elena. I promised you'd be safe with me. And now you're in danger because of me." I studied his face, seeing past the control to the turmoil beneath. This wasn't calculated anymore. This was real fear, real guilt. "Then I'll go," I said. "But you have to promise me something. Anything. Get that girl back safely. Whatever it takes." His expression softened marginally. "I will. I promise you that." 2 hours later I was in an SUV with Marco and 2 other security personnel, driving north through darkness. Mateo had kissed my forehead before I left, a gesture so tender it had brought tears to my eyes. "Be safe," he had whispered. "Come back to me." The safe house was a cabin in the Catskills, remote and beautiful. Over the next week, I paced its rooms, worked on recipes to keep busy, waited for updates that came in frustratingly vague texts from Mateo. "Making progress. Stay patient. Negotiating. Don't worry. Almost resolved. Soon." On the 8th day, Marco received a call. His expression transformed from tense to relieved. "The girl is safe. Mr. DeLuca is handling final details with Volkov. We can return to the city tomorrow." That night I barely slept, relief and anticipation warring inside me. I wanted to see Mateo, to confirm he was unharmed, to stop pretending our connection was just an arrangement. Because somewhere in these 3 months, I had stopped pretending. I had fallen for him. Truly, terrifyingly fallen for the dangerous man who had offered me protection and given me so much more. We returned to the townhouse the next afternoon. Marco escorted me inside, but it was empty. Staff absent. Rooms quiet. Where's everyone? Mr. DeLuca gave staff the day off. He's upstairs waiting for you. I climbed to the 5th floor for the first time. To Matteo's private domain. His bedroom door was open. I found him standing by the window. His back to me, still wearing yesterday's clothes. He looked exhausted, battered, but whole. Matteo. He turned, and the expression on his face stole my breath. Raw, vulnerable, stripped of every defense. Elena. I crossed the room and crashed into him, wrapping my arms around his waist. Holding tight, he folded around me, his face buried in my hair, his body shaking slightly. I thought I might lose you, he whispered. Sergei threatened to send men for you. I had to make sure you were so far away, so protected that even his reach couldn't find you. I'm here, I'm safe, and so is the girl. Back with her family. Sergei won't threaten anyone I care about again. I pulled back enough to see his face. What did you do? What was necessary? No elaboration, but I saw the cost in his eyes. Whatever necessary had meant, it had taken something from him. These 3 months, I said, my voice shaking. This arrangement, it stopped being pretend somewhere along the way. At least for me. His hands came up to frame my face, thumbs stroking my cheeks. It was never pretend for me. From that first moment in the stairwell, you were mine. I just had to wait for you to realize you wanted to be. I do want to be. Not for protection, not for safety, just because you're you and I'm me and somehow we fit. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and achingly tender. Everything we had held back for months poured into that kiss. All the restraint and longing and fear transformed into connection. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. Stay with me, he said. Not because of the arrangement. Just stay. For how long? Forever. If you'll have me. I thought about my grandmother's recipe books. About her instruction never to waste my talent making someone else rich. But Matteo had never tried to make me smaller. He had given me space to grow. Resources to dream. Protection to thrive. Yes, I said simply. Forever. 18 months later, I stood in my bakery, Aurora's sweet haven, watching the line of customers stretch out the door. Matteo had helped me find the perfect location, provided initial capital, connected me with the right people. But the business itself was mine, built on my grandmother's recipes and my own determination. He leaned against the counter now, stealing a macaron while I wasn't looking. Those are for customers, I scolded without heat. I'm a very important customer. Your most important customer. He pulled me close, heedless of the flour dusting my apron. Have I mentioned lately that you're remarkable? Not in the last hour. Then I'm overdue. He kissed me softly. You're remarkable, Elena DeLuca. The name still felt new, strange and wonderful. We had married quietly 6 months ago. Just us and a handful of close friends. No performance, no arrangement. Just 2 people who had found each other in a stairwell and decided to keep finding each other every day after. Mrs. DeLuca, Maria called from the back. She worked as my kitchen manager now, having left Matteo's household staff to help me build my dream. Your 3 o'clock appointment is here. The food critic? I asked nervously. The food critic confirmed. Matteo smiled. Who will love everything you make because it's brilliant? You're biased. Completely. And accurately. He released me reluctantly. I'll leave you to it. Dinner tonight. Just us. Perfect. He left and I returned to my element. Creating beautiful things with my hands. Building the life my grandmother had wanted for me. A life where I didn't have to choose between safety and independence. A life where the dangerous man I had stumbled into on a desperate afternoon had become my partner. My protector. My love. Sometimes the best things came from the worst moments. From panic and flight and a locked stairwell where everything changed. From running straight into the arms of the man I had been running toward all along. Even before I knew he existed. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps the channel grow. I'll see you in the next.